Today, we're going to take the cheap poker here. We're going to clean up everything for reassembling this gas tank. And might end up painting it too. We're going to clean up the skid pan. There's some rusted holes here that we're going to try to repair. We're going to go ahead and wire wheel all the inside of the frame rails back there, everywhere where the gas tank mounts, and we're going to shoot it with some truck bed liner. We're also going to go ahead and weld in a couple bolts in we was talking about in the last video. So, hang on a minute here and we'll get started. Okay, we're going to start with the skid pan. So, I'm trying to hold this and move everything and do everything. So, starting with the skid pan, it's got this rubber liner underneath of it so that it's not metal rubbing on metal. That just sits in there. Underneath, as you can see, we've got some rust issues, which I'm not too horribly worried about there, but we got a good sized hole rotted right there, and one in that corner, one in that corner. So the first thing we're going to do, I'm going to set you up. We're going to try to wire wheel this and get it halfway clean, and then I'm going to dig around and see if I've got some thin gauge sheet metal, and we'll see if we can't weld in a couple little patches there. Alrighty, let's get to it. So after getting this cleaned up a little bit and actually looking at it on both sides, the only real rust repair we're going to have to do is this section right here. This side, as you can see, somebody has already, whoever was here before, made a plate and been around the original skid pan and the original flange right here and kind of repaired some of that rust that we saw right in here, which is really the worst anyway. So what I think I am going to do is go in here with the grinder and kind of knock these sharp edges off so we don't put a hole in the new gas tank when we get it in there. And I went through and wire wheeled this, and I know it doesn't look the prettiest, but we got the crap knocked off of it enough, and I'll clean it up with the pressure washer and then probably some acetone, so some truck bed liner will stick to it. And so the next thing we're going to do is get the grinder out, and we're going to clean up over here and see if we can find some piece to weld in. Right there. Cord's kind of messed up on my grinder. You got to get it just in the right spot now. I think a trip to Harbor Freight on payday is well, looks to be a necessity now. Now, this grinder ain't the best anymore. I think it's time for a new one, like I said. Alright, so we went ahead and changed the wheel on the grinder to a flat disc. After we cut our piece here, that way it would actually clean that up halfway. And it would appear that we need to clean up a little bit more, but right now we're going to try to persuade this into shape about half. So give it a good little bend. Knee pressure. Not like that. Get it started. Then we'll come over here and grab a clamp. It's the last little piece of this stuff I've got. I gotta go digging through the scrap dumpster at work again. Come on, Mr. Clamp. Then we're just gonna Alright, we're going to grab another clamp, put that together, got to clean them edges up with the grinder, and then we'll take it over to the welder and weld it. Alright, so here's what we wound up with. I know it's ugly and thin, but that's a pretty good patch. Now what I'll probably do before we go to painting this, one, it's got to be cleaned off, pressure washed, and ready to rock. But probably going to take some 100% clear silicone and silicone all these areas that I didn't weld, kind of like seam sealer, I guess, on body panels. And that just try to deter mud getting up in there, because I mean, even if you got that new metal on there, you get mud in behind, it's going to rot out quick. And I'll do it over there where they welded that other patch on too. So as bad as my welds look, they're no worse than the other fellow out here that welded on this thing. So we'll be alright, I guess. It'll hold. Better than having a hole there. Okay, so I went through and I took some silicone. And this is 100% silicone. You don't want to use caulk. This just happened to be white. I thought it was clear, but... And I sealed all down through the patch that was already there, around the patch that I did, and then back in here where the original rot was in the original pan. So there was a big hole here, a big hole here. And like I said, it may or may not help any at all, but it's gonna at least keep dirt, water, mud, road salt, all that stuff from getting in behind it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go on to the house, watch a little TV and get some lunch, and leave this here beside the heater on low and let it dry real good. And then I've already wiped everything down with some acetone and got it as clean as I can to spray it with truck bed liner. I mean, it ain't going to be perfect. I don't expect the paint to last forever, but anyway, we'll catch back up whenever it's time to paint it. Alright. Alright, so it's been a couple hours. Everything's, as far as the silicone is pretty well dried. We're going to go ahead and shoot this thing real quick. And brought it in here in the basement. It's a little warmer today in here. So, anyway, ooh, it's under a little pressure. Alright, get a little bit better view of it. So, there we go. Alright, we'll see you guys in part 2. Appreciate you watching if you're actually watching. And next time we'll do the frame and give it a shot of paint. I'm going to give this 2 more coats, but there ain't no need for you to see that. Y'all have a good one.